Through the rain-streaked glass of her family's diner, a flash of movement catches Daisy's eyes. A small figure huddles against the brick wall across the street, pressed into the narrow space between the hardware store and the post office. Even through the downpour, Daisy can make out the thin shoulders of a kid, maybe 9 or 10 years old, with dark hair plastered to his skull. She pauses, dish towel forgotten in her hands. "Daisy dear, can I get a refill?" Someone calls out from the back. "Sure thing, Polly." She doesn't turn, though, because through the window the boy is staring directly at her. Their eyes meet across the empty street, and then, as if startled by being seen, the child melts back into the shadows. "Daisy." Her stepmother's sharp voice makes her jump. "These tables won't clean themselves." "Yes, ma'am." But Daisy's attention keeps drifting to the window. When she looks again, the boy has moved to the mouth of the alley beside the diner, just standing there in the rain. The bell above the door chimes as Mr. Henderson, the town's retired postal worker, hurries in from the downpour. His usually neat appearance is disheveled, his eyes wide with something between concern and alarm. "Evening, Mr. Henderson." Daisy calls softly, already reaching for the coffee pot. "Rough night to be out." "There's a boy out there," he says, shaking rain from his jacket. "I tried to ask if he needed help getting home, but Mr. Henderson pauses. Well, he snarled at me." Daisy's hand stills on the coffee pot. Snarled like some kind of animal. Through the window, Daisy sees the small figure retreat deeper into the alley's shadows. Rain continues to pour down, turning the world into a cold gray blur. The boy looks so small out there, so alone. "What are you even doing here on a Saturday night, Daisy?" Mr. Henderson asks. "Young girl like you should be out with friends. I hear all the kids are rushing to see that new Spielberg film, Back to the Present." "It's Back to the Future, Mr. Henderson." Daisy smiles, not paying him much attention. She can't afford going to the movies. She needs to work as many shifts as she can to pay her future college tuition. And most importantly, there's Achild alone in the rain. She still sees him now hovering nearby. Pretty sure it's back to the present. Mr. Henderson is arguing. "You can't go back to the future." "That doesn't make sense." "I'll be right back, Mr. Henderson." Daisy interrupts. Before her stepmother can notice, she slips out the back door into the rain. It immediately soaks through her uniform, but she presses on into the alley where the boy has retreated. He's crouched in the shadows now, and when she appears, his head snaps up. For a moment, she thinks he might bolt. His eyes are the strangest color amber, almost golden in the dim light, and there's a wildness about them that makes her understand why Mr. Henderson was spooked. But the boy is young, and surely if someone is scared, it's him. "Hey," she calls softly, staying several feet away. "You're getting soaked out here." The boy watches her with the weary intensity of a cornered animal. When she takes a step closer, a low sound rumbles from his throat, not quite a growl, but close enough to make her pause. "It's okay," she whispers. She slowly gestures toward the diner's back door, warm light spilling out into the darkness. "You can come inside if you want. Get out of the rain." The boy's gaze flicks between her face and the open doorway. "I'll leave the door open," Daisy says quietly. "You don't have to be afraid." Daisy Marie Miller. Her stepmother's voice cracks like a whip from inside the diner. The boy flinches and then he bolts. Chapter 1. The following night, Daisy hunches over her calculus textbook at a back booth of the empty diner, the numbers swimming before her tired eyes. Studying again, Brenda's voice drips with mock sympathy as she saunters past, purse already slung over her shoulder. "God, it's like so cute, Howard, you try." Daisy doesn't look up. "Going out again?" She asks, "Don't you have a shift tonight?" "Not anymore, I don't." Before Daisy can respond, the kitchen door swings open with a familiar creak. Her stepmother, Julia, appears with that tight smile that never reaches her eyes. "Daisy, Brenda needs to leave early. Todd is taking her to that new place in the city. You'll cover her shift, but I have a test tomorrow and the diner comes first." Julia cuts her off. "Your father would have wanted it that way." The familiar ache blooms in Daisy's chest at the mention of her dad. 3 years gone, and sometimes it feels like yesterday she lost him. "And besides, Daisy," her sister adds, "you're like naturally meant for this place." "Fine," Daisy says, closing her textbook. She needs the tips anyway. Every dollar brings her one step closer to escape. Brenda flashes a triumphant smile. "Thanks, sis. Don't wait up." The bell above the door chimes as Brenda leaves, and Julia follows her daughter with her eyes, pride evident in her gaze. When she turns back to Daisy, that warmth vanishes. "The ketchup bottles need refilling," she says. And don't think I didn't notice you gave Mr. Henderson a free cup yesterday. He's been coming here for 20 years. Your sentimentality is costing us money. Julia snaps just like your father's did. Daisy bites her tongue and nods, knowing from experience that arguing only makes things worse. By 9, only a few customers remain, mostly truckers passing through town. Daisy's feet ache and calculus formulas still dance in her mind as she wipes down the counter. The bell above the door chimes. When Daisy looks up, the boy from Theali stands in the doorway, dripping rainwater onto the welcome mat. His blonde hair is still plastered to his head, clothes even more ragged in the diner's bright light, and his eyes dart around the room. Daisy frowns. His eyes are a piercing blue. She could have sworn they hadn't been yesterday outside, but perhaps a trick of the light. For a moment, nobody moves. Then, as if having made some internal decision, the boy slides into the farthest booth back to the wall, eyes never leaving the door. Quickly, Daisy grabs a menu and a glass of water. As she approaches his booth, the boy's posture changes, shoulders squaring, chin lifting as if preparing for a fight. "Hi there," she says softly, placing the water before him. "Can I get you anything to eat?" The boy stares at her, expression unreadable. He doesn't reach for the menu, doesn't speak, just watches her. And there's something in his eyes, a hollowness, a distant grief that she recognizes with painful clarity. It's the same look she'd seen in her own reflection in the hospital bathroom mirror after saying goodbye to her mother for the last time. It's the look of a child who has seen what no child should have to see, who has lost what no child should have to lose. Daisy fights back her tears. "Okay," she says shakily. "Just the water, then. Let me know if you change your mind." She turns to leave, but a soft sound makes her pause. When she looks back, the boy has pulled the glass closer, both hands wrapped around it like it might be taken away. Throughout her shift, Daisy watches him from the corner of her eye. He sits perfectly still, sipping water occasionally, watching other customers eat their meals with an intensity that makes her heart ache. When a family at a nearby table laughs over a stack of pancakes, something flickers across his face. Longing, maybe quickly masked by that same proud defiance. Just before closing, the boy slides out of the booth and disappears into the night without a word. She can't shake the image of those hungry eyes watching others eat as she walks back home. Just in case, she calls the police in a hushed tone from the landline downstairs, praying it doesn't wake Julia or Brenda to ask if there's been any reports of a missing 10-year-old boy. But there isn't. Who this boy is and what he is doing alone outside at night remains a mystery. Chapter 2. The next evening, the boy returns. The fluorescent lights catch the hollows beneath his cheekbones, the sharp angle of his collarbone visible beneath his threadbare t-shirt. At the booth directly across from him, the Martinez family celebrates their daughter's soccer victory with a feast, towering burgers dripping with cheese, golden French fries steaming in their basket. The boy's nostrils flares lightly, his throat working as he swallows, and his knuckles turning white around his water glass. Yet when Daisy approaches with a menu, offering a gentle smile, he merely shakes his head. Pride keeps his spine straight, his chin lifted even as his eyes betray him by lingering on every plate that passes. When he finally leaves, sliding out of the booth with that strange, careful grace, Daisy notices he's left his water glass bone dry, not a single drop wasted. By the third night, she can't stand it anymore. Daisy watches the boy from behind the counter, his gaze fixed on a family, sharing a plate of pancakes, syrup glistening under the diner lights. His eyes track every bite with painful intensity. Though his face remains carefully blank, the hollow of his throat works as she swallows repeatedly. Making a decision, Daisy pulls a ticket pad from her apron and scribbles an order. She walks to the kitchen window and clips it to the carousel. "Short stack with bacon for table 7, she says quietly to Chuck. The cook glances over his shoulder, then back to Daisy with a raised eyebrow. "Kid ordering now." "No," Daisy says, fishing 3 crumpled bills from her tip pocket. "This one's on me." Chuck's weathered face softens. He waves away the money. "Put it back in your college fund, kid." "This one's on the house, Chuck. I can't let you." "Your dad would have done the same," he says gruffly, already turning to the grill. When the bell rings minutes later, Daisy takes a deep breath before lifting the plate. The pancakes are golden brown, a perfect pea of butter melting on top. 3 strips of bacon arranged on the side. More food than she'd seen the boy eat in the 3 days she'd known him. She carries it to his table, heart pounding. "Here you go," she says, setting the plate before him. The boy stares at the food, then at her, suspicion sharpening his features. "Kitchen mistake," Daisy says, understanding washing over her. "We were going to throw these out, but it seems like such a waste." Would you mind? Something shifts in his expression as his gaze drops to the pancakes, then back to her face as if searching for the trap. Daisy doesn't push. She simply places a fork and knife beside the plate, wraps a napkin around them, and steps back. "Enjoy," she says, and walks away to give him privacy. From across the diner, she watches as he carefully, almost reverently, cuts into the pancakes. The first bite seems to surprise him. His blue eyes widen slightly, and for just a moment he looks like what he is, a hungry child tasting something sweet. He eats methodically, savoring each bite, occasionally darting glances around as if expecting someone to take the food away. When he finishes, he wipes his mouth with the napkin and sits, very still, hands folded on the table. Before he leaves, something unexpected happens. He looks directly at Daisy and gives her the slightest nod, barely perceptible but unmistakably an acknowledgement. The next evening he's back. This time, when Daisy approaches with water, the tension in his shoulders seems less pronounced. "Kitchen mistake," she says, placing a bowl of oatmeal with brown sugar and a side of toast before him. Such a shame to waste food. And so it begins. Each evening, Daisy orders a different meal, paying from her tip jar, and presents it as a fortunate accident. Eggs and bacon. One night a hamburger, the next soup. The following evening, her college fund grows a little more slowly, but she can't bring herself to care. A week into their strange ritual, during a quiet moment when the diner is nearly empty, Daisy slides into the booth across from him. The boy stiffens immediately but doesn't bolt. "So," she says conversationally, as if they do this all the time, "do you have a name?" The boy watches her, something complicated happening behind those amber eyes. His lips part slightly as if he wants to speak, but no sound emerges. "You don't have to tell me," Daisy says quickly. "I just thought, well, I could guess." The tension in his shoulder seizes slightly. "Let's see." Daisy taps her chin thoughtfully. "You look like a Bartholomew." The boy's eyes widen and his nose wrinkles in obvious disgust. Daisy bites back a smile. "No, okay. How about Angelbert?" The look of absolute horror on his face makes her laugh out loud. "All right. Definitely not Angelbert, Percal." With each increasingly ridiculous name, the boy's expression grows more appalled until finally the corner of his mouth twitches upwards. "I'll figure it out eventually," Daisy promises, standing up as a new customer enters. As she walks away, she catches a glimpse of something that might be amusement in his eyes. 2 weeks into their strange ritual, the boy is waiting at his usual booth when Daisy arrives for her shift. Tonight, before she can launch into her name-guessing game, he slides a folded napkin across the table. Puzzled, Daisy opens it. Written in careful childish letters is a single word. "Oliver." "Oliver," she says softly, testing the name. The boy nods once solemn. Daisy smiles, feeling as though she's been given something precious. I'm Daisy. What she doesn't know, can't possibly know, is that across the street, hidden in shadows, adult figure watches the diner, watches the boy, watches her kindness unfold night after night, and waits. Chapter 3. Tonight, the diner is nearly empty. Thunder rumbles in the distance, and the fluorescent lights flicker momentarily. Daisy glances at the clock. 15 minutes until closing. "I'll take out the trash," she calls to Chuck, gathering the heavy bags from behind the counter. "Be careful out there," he replies. Storm's getting worse. Daisy pushes through the back door into the alley and hurries to the dumpster, when movement at the mouth of the alley catches her eye. Oliver stands on the sidewalk, his thin shoulders hunched against the rain. But he's not alone. A tall man looms over him, broad-shouldered and imposing even through the curtain of rain. His face is shadowed, but there's something predatory in his stance. He grips Oliver's arm, saying something Daisy can't hear over the storm. When Oliver pulls back, shaking his head violently, the man tightens his grip. Daisy rushes forward. "Hey," she calls. "Let him go." The man's head snaps up, and for an instant Daisy could swear his eyes flash gold in the dim light. He yanks Oliver roughly, pulling him into the shadows between buildings. Daisy hesitates for only a second before following after them. She rounds the corner into a narrow service alley, darker than the main street and shielded somewhat from the rain by overhanging fire escapes. The man has Oliver backed against a brick wall looming over him. "Control yourself," he growls, his voice low and commanding. "You feel it building, don't you? The storm does that. You need to master it or it will master you." Oliver's body is rigid, his breathing rapid. "Oliver," Daisy calls, her voice shaking. "Are you okay?" The man whirls to face her, and this time there's no mistaking it. His eyes gleam gold in the darkness, inhuman and predatory. "This doesn't concern you," he says. "Leave." Daisy clenches her fists. "Let him go," she snaps. "Or I'm calling the police." Behind the man, Oliver makes a strangled sound. Part growl, part whimper. Daisy's eyes widen as she watches his small frame begin to convulse, his face contorting in what looks like pain. "Oliver," she exclaims, taking a step forward. The man curses. "Now you've done it." His control was already slipping. Oliver drops to his hands and knees, his body shuddering violently. And in the dim light of the alley, Daisy watches in horror and disbelief as his form begins to change. His body contorts. Dark, sleek fur ripples across his skin. His face elongates, ears shifting upward to points. And then where the boy had been, a wolf pup stands, small but unmistakable, with the same amber eyes that have watched her across the diner for weeks. Daisy stumbles backward, her back hitting the opposite wall of the narrow alley. This can't be real. It can't be happening. The pup whines, taking a hesitant step toward her. "Oliver, stay," the man commands, and the pup freezes. Daisy opens her mouth, but no words come out. And then, "Daisy!" A sharp voice cuts through the rain. "Daisy Miller, where are you?" Julia's voice coming from the direction of the diner. The man's head snaps toward the sound, then back to Daisy. "Go," the man says to her. "Act normal." Dazed, Daisy stumbles back toward the diner, emerging from the alley just as Julia rounds the corner, an umbrella clutched in her manicured hand. "There you are. What are you doing out in this weather?" "I thought I saw something," Daisy manages, her voice faint. "A cat, maybe?" Julia rolls her eyes. "Always wasting time on strays. Get inside before you catch pneumonia. I need to speak with you." Daisy follows her stepmother back into the diner, her mind reeling. A wolf. Oliver transformed into a wolf. Such things don't happen. Can't happen. Yet she saw it with her own eyes. Inside, Chuck has already left through the front door, leaving them alone in the fluorescent-lit diner. Julia marches straight to the counter where Daisy's tip jar sits. "This is what I wanted to discuss," Julia says, lifting the jar. Bills and coins collected over weeks of shifts catch the light. Daisy's college fund growing cent by cent. "Your sister tells me you've been feeding that boy who comes in for free." Daisy begins, but Julia cuts her off. "Don't bother denying it. Chuck confirmed it." She dumps the contents of the jar onto the counter with a harsh clatter of coins. "Do you have any idea how disappointed your father would be? This money was for your future." Daisy stares at the scattered tips. Weeks of smiling through exhaustion, of aching feet, and late night studying after closing. "Dad left me money for college," she says quietly. "He promised there would." Julia's laugh is brittle. "Daisy, your father left barely enough to cover food for 6 months, let alone years of college tuition." This, she gestures to the money on the counter. "This is what you have to rely on. And you've been wasting it on some stray boy." "But the inheritance was mostly debt, Daisy," Julia sighs. "And with Todd's tuition going up this semester, there's nothing left for you but your own tips." The reality sinks in like a stone. No inheritance, no college fund beyond what she can save herself. The bell above the door chimes and Daisy's heart jumps into her throat. Oliver, human again, looking small and damp, steps into the diner dressed in an oversized coat. Behind him, the tall man follows, his presence filling the space like a storm cloud. "We're closed," Julia says sharply. The man ignores her, walking straight to Daisy. Up close, he's even more intimidating. Over 6 tall with the same amber eyes as Oliver and a scar running along his jawline. "My nephew and I would like a word with Miss Miller," he says. Julia draws herself up. "As I said, we're closed and Daisy is busy." The man reaches into his jacket and pulls out a wallet. He extracts several large bills and places them on the counter. "For your trouble, we won't be long." Julia hesitates, eyeing the money. With a huff, she snatches it up. 5 minutes. She shoots Daisy a warning look before disappearing through the swinging door. As soon as Julia's gone, Oliver rushes to Daisy's side. "Are you okay?" Daisy asks him softly. Oliver nods, then glances back at the man with unmistakable wariness. "I'm Nicholas Gray," the man says, his voice cold and precise. "Oliver's uncle." "What?" Daisy struggles to form the question. "What happened out there in the alley?" "Nothing happened," Nicholas says, his golden eyes boring into hers. "Nothing at all. But I saw what you think you saw in a dimly lit alley during a storm." Hecuts her off. "Doesn't matter much." Oliver's face hardens. He steps slightly in front of Daisy as if shielding her from his uncle. "You saw nothing." Nicholas continues, turning back to Daisy. And even if you thought you did, who would believe you? Daisy feels a chill run down her spine despite the diner's warmth. I just saw you dragging a child into an alley, she says, her voice steadier than she feels. That's concerning enough. Nicholas studies her for a moment, then changes tactics. I'm Oliver's legal guardian now that his parents are gone, he explains. And he will be coming with me. He belongs with his family. He reaches into his jacket and pulls out a checkbook. Now about what you saw or didn't see. He writes rapidly, tears out a check and slides it across the counter. This should help your college situation. Daisy glances down and nearly gasps. The amount is more than she could save in 5 years of tips. Her eyes find Oliver's. I don't want your money, she tells his uncle, pushing the check back across the counter. Don't be foolish, Nicholas says. This could solve your problems. Daisy looks at the check again. For a moment, temptation flickers through her. But then she meets Oliver's gaze, sees the trust and admiration in his eyes and knows she can't take it. What I did for Oliver wasn't a transaction, she says firmly. It was the right thing to do. I won't take payment for that. Nicholas' jaw tightens. This is absurd, he mutters. Take the money, kid. Get yourself out of here. No, Daisy says simply, pushing the check firmly back toward him. This isn't worth a few fries and milkshakes, which is all I gave Oliver. A small hand reaches for hers and Daisy squeezes it lightly as Oliver's uncle pockets the check with a shake of his head. You're either the most principled or the most foolish human I've ever met, he says. Perhaps both. Oliver's small jaw sets stubbornly. He moves closer to Daisy as if seeking protection. Your uncle is right, Daisy says softly, kneeling to meet his eyes. You should be with your family. Oliver's pouts. He gestures around the diner, then points to her. I know, she whispers. I'll miss you too, but this isn't where you belong. Oliver's expression crumples. He reaches for her hand, holds it in both of his smaller ones. He will write to you, Nicholas says unexpectedly. Oliver turns back to Daisy, his expression earnest, questioning. I'd like that, Daisy says, her own eyes stinging with unshed tears. For the first time since she's known him, Oliver's face breaks into a true smile. Small but real, then without warning he throws his arms around her neck. It's time, Nicholas says quietly. Oliver pulls away reluctantly. He steps back to his uncle's side, but his eyes remain fixed on Daisy. Remember, the man says, his voice low and serious. Nothing happened in that alley. Nothing unusual ever. His golden eyes hold hers for a moment longer. A final warning. Then he places a hand on Oliver's shoulder and guides him toward the door. A week later, an envelope arrives at the diner, addressed to her in careful, childish handwriting. Inside is a letter, short but precious. Dear Daisy, I'm with my uncle now. They are teaching me many things. I miss your pancakes. I miss you more. Daisy traces her fingers over the signature, surprised by the sudden ache in her chest. Chapter 4, April 1986. Dear Oliver, thank you so much for your letter. I can't tell you how relieved I was to hear from you. I've been wondering where you were and if you were safe. Is your uncle treating you well? Your friend Daisy, June 1986. Dear Daisy, sorry it took so long to write back. I'm with the pack now. Uncle says I need to train, that it's my duty, but he's full of don't tell him I said that word. I miss you in your scent. Is your aunt still being mean to you? Oliver, July 1986. Dear Oliver, I'm so happy to hear you're safe. What do you mean by training? Do you practice changing? Is that the right word to use? Is the pack your family? Julia is not my aunt. She's my stepmother. Your friend Daisy. P.S. Your secret bad word is safe with me. September 1986. Dear Daisy, yes, I am training to control my change, but I shouldn't tell you about that stuff. I think Uncle checks my letters before they go out. He told me I shouldn't comment on a lady's scent like I did. But how else was I supposed to say I miss how you smell? Adults are confusing. I can't believe Julia is your mother. She's so mean to you. My mother wasn't like that at all. When I'm older and you're my mate, no one will ever be mean to you ever again. I promise. Oliver. October 1986. Dear Oliver, I don't mind you commenting on my scent. I wear vanilla perfume sometimes. Maybe that's what you remember. About the mate thing, though. I'm very flattered, but you're too young to be thinking about those things. Julia isn't my real mother, by the way. She's my stepmother. My real mother is in heaven. She got very sick when I was 12, and there was nothing the doctors could do, so I understand missing your mother. I miss mine every day, especially when I make her recipes at the diner. December 1986. Dear Daisy, I don't care what my uncle thinks or says. You will be my mate one day when I grow up. He tried to make your pancakes. He burned the edges, but I ate them anyway. He's not so bad. I dreamed of the night my parents died 2 days ago, and Uncle had to sit with me until morning. I didn't cry, though. Uncle says alphas have to be strong, and I'm meant to become alpha. Oliver, February 1987. Dear Oliver, it's okay to cry. You know, when my mom died, I cried a lot when my dad died, too. You're only 11. You don't have to be strong all the time. Daisy, P.S. What's an alpha? September 1988. Daisy, did you get your acceptance letter yet? Fingers crossed, but they'd be fools not to accept you. You're brilliant. Love, Oliver. October 1988. Ollie, I got in. Classes start in January. I'm so excited. I can hardly sleep. I don't have enough saved for full-time study yet, but the bank is giving me a small loan to help. Daisy, April 1990. Dear Daisy, how did your finals go this semester? Are you still studying business? There's a new girl here named Maya. Uncle thinks I should be friends with her, but I don't want to. Love, Oliver. May 1990. Hey, Ollie, finals went well. Thank you. I managed all A's and 1 B+ in statistics. David helped me study for that one. He's much better with numbers than I am. How are things with Maya? Sometimes new friendships can surprise you. Daisy, June 1990. Who's David? You never mentioned him before. Maya asks too many questions about my parents. Love, Oliver. July 1990. Happy birthday, Ollie. Did you get my surprise? I sent it directly to your uncle. About Maya. Sometimes the people who annoy us most end up becoming important to us. Maybe give her a chance. Your friend Daisy, August 1990. You didn't answer my question. Who is David? September 1990. Hi, Ollie. If you must know, David is my boyfriend. We met in my accounting class last semester. How is your training going? Daisy, November 1990. Dear Ali, is everything okay? You haven't answered my last letter yet. I guess you must be busy. The leaves are changing here, and it reminds me of the autumn when we first met. Hard to believe that was 5 years ago. Your friend Daisy, December 1990. Ollie, it's been 4 months since I received a proper letter from you. Has something happened? Daisy, January 1991. Dear Oliver, did I do something wrong? Are you upset with me? I miss your letters. Your friend Daisy, March 1991. Daisy, you must know how I feel about you. You've always known. How could you let me know you're somebody else's and not expect it to tear me up inside? I don't want your letters if you're going to be with someone else. March 1991. Ollie, is that why you haven't been writing? Because of David? You're only 15. What you're feeling is a crush, something you will grow out of, nothing more. You matter to me, Ollie. When you didn't write for months, it hurt me. Please don't do that again. Daisy, May 1991. Dear Oliver, I understand if you don't want to be friends. Daisy, November 1991. My Daisy, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it when I said I didn't want your letters. I tried to forget you, but I miss you too much. I'd rather be your friend than nothing to you at all. You're too important to me. Your scent has been fading from your last letter, and I miss it. I miss you. Forgive me. December 1991. Oliver, you don't have to send me a new gift every day until Christmas. It's too much. I miss you too. I hope you enjoy these gingerbread cookies. I made them myself. Your Daisy, April 1993. Ollie, I quit that terrible job. You would have been proud of me. I finally stood up to that jerk of a boss when he tried to make me close alone again. The look on his face was priceless. David took me to meet his parents last weekend. It's getting pretty serious. Your Daisy, May 1993. Daisy, I'm not sure I like the idea of you meeting his parents. You barely know him. Maya says I should be happy for you. I'm trying, but the wolf doesn't like it. Oliver, June 1993. Dear Ollie, David and I have been dating for about 3 years now. That's not nothing. You're creating a connection in your mind that isn't real, at least not in the way you seem to think it is. You're 16 now and I'm 22. You're still so young and you have your whole life ahead of you. Speaking of which, you mention Maya often. Is there something developing there? Your Daisy, November 1993. Daisy. Maya's from an important family within the pack. Uncle has suggested we would make a good match. The wolf isn't opposed to the idea. She smells right, if that makes sense. We're considering a formal courtship bond. Love, Oliver, December 1993. Dear Oliver, a formal courtship bond at 16. Oliver, that sounds so serious and permanent. You're just a teenager. You should be meeting different people, figuring out who you are before you commit to something so binding. And what does she smells right even mean? That's not a foundation for a lifelong relationship. Daisy, March 1994. Dear Ollie, David proposed last night. I said yes. I'm not sure why I'm nervous telling you this. You're my best friend. You should be the first to know. The wedding will be next summer. I hope you can be there, but I understand why that might be complicated. How are things with Maya? Your Daisy, May 1994. Daisy, congratulations on your engagement. I've been busy with pack matters. Uncle has been delegating more responsibilities to me as preparation for when I become alpha. Maya and I have formalized our courtship bond. It's the first step toward a permanent mating. Uncle is pleased with the alliance. Our bloodlines are compatible. Our wolves accept each other. It's enough. Though I dream of you still, Oliver. June 1994. Ollie, I'm concerned about you. This formal courtship sounds so wrong, Tome. Our bloodlines are compatible. Our wolves accept each other. Where's the joy, the passion, the excitement? You're 17, Oliver. This isn't the Middle Ages. You don't need to make political alliances through marriage. I'm sorry if this sounds harsh, but I just want you to be happy. You're Daisy. August 1994. Daisy. What would you have me do? Pine forever for a human woman who's marrying another man? The wolf may be stubborn, but even it understands when a chase is futile. I'm learning to live with the knowledge that you'll never be mine. October 1994. Dear Ali, the wedding is set for June 15th next year. Save the date even if you can't be there in person. I'll be thinking of you. Please don't speak of pining form. I only want you to find someone who lights a fire in your soul, not someone who merely smells right or has the correct bloodline. Your Daisy, December 1994. Daisy, you still don't understand. What the wolf feels for you isn't something I chose or can simply dismiss. It's primal, instinctual, bone deep. When you fed that starving pup, something fundamental shifted. The wolf recognized something in you: strength, compassion, a kindred spirit. It doesn't understand weddings or age differences or the boundaries of friendship. I've enclosed a small Christmas gift. It's a silver pendant with our pack symbol. Wearing it would mark you asunder our protection. The wolf will rest easier knowing you have it. Love, Oliver. February 1995. Dear Oliver, the pendant is beautiful. I haven't taken it off since I received it. Wedding planning continues to be a nightmare. I've compromised on the guest count, but I put my foot down about the location. Your Daisy. April 1995. Daisy, you speak of passion and joy as if they're birthrights. For some of us, duty comes first. Always. And yet, I know how you dot your I's with little circles when you're happy. How your letters slant more when you're writing in a hurry. How you press harder with the pen when you're angry or passionate about something. The day your wedding invitation arrived, I ran for hours through the forest until my paws bled and my lungs burned. Still, I couldn't outrun the truth. You're choosing him, not me. I won't attend. I can't. The wolf wouldn't allow it. Love, Oliver. June 1995. Dear Oliver, your last letter troubled me deeply. I understand why you can't attend the wedding. I do. But part of me will be looking for you anyway. Your Daisy, December 1995. My Daisy, I can't do this anymore. For years I've tried to be your friend, to respect your choices, to cage a beast that lives only for you. But with each step you take toward a life with him, something in me fractures. I keep your letters in a wooden box under my bed. Sometimes when I can't sleep, I reread them all in order. 10 years of Daisy Miller. I know every word, every crease in the paper, every place where your pen pressed harder on the page. The truth is, I have loved you since I was 10 years old. The boy loved your kindness. The teenager loved your wisdom. The man loves all that you are. Your strength, your compassion, your quiet determination. But you've chosen your path, and it doesn't include me. So I release you. I set free this impossible, beautiful, agonizing connection that has defined me for so long. I free the wolf to find another, if such a thing is even possible. Be happy, Daisy. Live the life you've chosen with your whole heart. I won't write again. It's the only way I can survive. Always and forever yours, Oliver. June 1999. Ollie, I know, I shouldn't be writing to you, but tonight, sitting alone in my apartment, I needed to put these words somewhere. I miss you. 3 years of silence, and I still find myself checking the mail with a flutter of hope when I get home. I didn't get married, Oliver. David had been cheating on me with Brenda, of all people, my stepsister. They'd been seeing each other for months, apparently. Everyone knew but me. I'm okay now, mostly. I pick up weekend shifts at the diner sometimes just to make extra payments. That student loan, you know. Sometimes I touch the pendant you gave me and wonder where you are and if you're happy with Maya. I hope you know that somewhere a waitress who once fed the hungry child you were still thinks of you. I'll never send this letter, but writing it has helped. Always yours, Daisy. Chapter 5. 3 years later, Daisy bursts into the hotel's locker room, out of breath and flushed. Where have you been? Lisa appears in the doorway, arms crossed. It started almost an hour ago, and the wedding planner's a royal pain in the... She stops, eyeing Daisy. What's wrong? Nothing, Daisy mutters, fumbling with the buttons of her uniform. Lisa raises an eyebrow. Sounds like something. Daisy's hand still for armament. She's done it. She sigh. The diner's up for sale. What? Lisa's eyes widen. Your wicked stepmother. I swear. Can't you sue? Take this to court. Daisy shrugs, straightening her blazer. My father left it to her. She's allowed to sell it. The thought of the sign bearing her mother's name being taken down, of all the photos of her parents being thrown away, makes her throat tighten. Couldn't you buy it? Lisa asks as they hurry out of the locker room. With what money? Daisy scoffs. With my student loans, I haven't had the chance to save much of anything. They emerge into their reception area, where a woman with severe glasses is gesticulating wildly, pointing people in different directions. That must be Joy then, Daisy asks. Only the wedding planner to the most important wedding of the century, Lisa confirms. Daisy approaches the woman, professional smile in place. Miss Harrington, I'm Daisy Miller, the restaurant manager. How can I be of service? You could have been of service an hour ago, Miss Miller, Joy snaps. The grand ballroom has been transformed for the welcome dinner, an event the size of a conference. Dozens of round tables draped in cream linens fill the space, each adorned with elaborate floral arrangements. Wait staff in crisp uniforms weave between glamorously dressed guests. The luxury hotel has been fully privatized for the week-long celebration, culminating in the wedding this weekend. As restaurant manager, Daisy has nothing to do with the wedding preparations, but she's responsible for ensuring the welcome dinner runs smoothly. She's determined to make up for her tardiness. I apologize for the delay, Daisy says smoothly. I assure you, everything is under control. Her eyes drift to the bar where a man stands waiting for a drink. She freezes mid-sentence, tall and broad-shouldered with golden hair that catches the light like spun gold. His profile is sculpted perfection. Strong jawline, straight nose, full lips curved in a slight smile as he speaks to the bartender. His suit, clearly custom-made, accentuates his athletic build in a way that makes her mouth go dry. Quite simply, he's the most beautiful man she's ever seen. As if sensing her gaze, he turns. Piercing blue eyes find hers across the room and her breath catches in her throat. For a moment, she forgets where she is, what she's doing. Then he quirks an eyebrow, and she looks away abruptly, heart pounding ridiculously fast. Are you listening, Miss Miller? Joy demands. The bar service is entirely too slow. Guests have been waiting over 10 minutes for drinks. I'll handle it personally, Daisy assures her, grateful for the excuse to escape, though going to the bar means getting closer to him. She slips behind the bar, though it's not technically her job. The bartenders are clearly overwhelmed by the demanding crowd. As she begins mixing drinks, she's acutely aware of his presence just feet away. She tries not to look directly at him, but can't help stealing glances from beneath her lashes. Ridiculous. She's a grown woman, not some tongue-tied teenager. And yet her hands aren't quite steady as she pours vodka into a martini glass. "Can I get you anything, sir?" she finally asks him, proud that her voice sounds normal despite the flutter in her stomach. He studies her for a long moment, those blue eyes seeming to see right through her professional facade. Then he smiles, a slow, confident curve of his lips that makes her pulse skitter. "Yes, actually." His voice is deep and rich with a hint of something wild beneath the cultured tones. Daisy swallows, trying to ignore how it affects her. "Well, do let me know what you'd like. I thought it would be obvious by now," he says, leaning slightly closer across the bar. Heat creeps up Daisy's neck. Is he flirting with her? Surely not. Men who look like him don't flirt with women like her. "I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean." He raises an eyebrow, amusement dancing in his eyes. Well, a hug would be nice. For one bewildering moment, Daisy imagines being wrapped in those strong arms pressed against that broad chest. The thought is so unexpected, so inappropriate that she nearly drops the glass she's holding. I'm sorry." Demon stares at her, then snorts softly. "You don't recognize me, do you, Daisy?" Panic flutters in her chest. She's certain she'd remember meeting someone like him. How does he know her name? "Oh, I'm sorry." "Yes, of course," she stammers, not wanting to offend what must be an important guest. Of course, he tilts his head. "So you remember me?" Daisy opens her mouth, closes it again. She feels foolish, caught in a lie, but there's no way she's ever met this man before. She would remember, definitely. "Right. Good." His smile widens, showing perfect white teeth. "Well, you should come say hello to my uncle. You know, he asked about you just the other day." "All right." She agrees weakly, having no idea what else to say. She's almost certain he's confusing her with someone else, but there's no graceful way to say so. He gestures for her to follow, and she finds herself trailing behind him, across the ballroom. Guests part for him, nodding respectfully as he passes. He moves with the easy confidence of someone accustomed to difference. She can't help noticing the way other women watch him as he passes with the same appreciation she felt earlier, but also with something like recognition. He's someone important. Clearly, he leads her to a tall man in his late 40s with salt and pepper hair and a stern expression. Meeting the older man's gaze, Daisy feels a jolt of recognition. She's seen him before. "Nick, you remember Daisy?" the blonde man asks. The older man, Nick, narrows his eyes at her. "What is she doing here?" He snaps, making Daisy want to take a cautious step back. "I don't know." The blonde shrugs. "I had nothing to do with it." He turns to Daisy with that charming smile. "What are you doing here, Daisy?" The older man crosses his arms expectantly, while the younger one looks like he wants to laugh. "Put on this spot." She straightens her shoulders. "I'm the restaurant manager," she attempts cautiously. "There you go," the blonde says to Nick. "She's the restaurant manager. You really expect me to believe that out of all the hotels in the city?" He's interrupted by the arrival of a stunning brunette in a sparkling black dress who slides her arm through the blonde man's. "Ollie," she scolds gently. "Where have you been?" "Robin's asking for you." The world tilts sideways. "Ollie," she just called him Ollie. "Ah, Maya." The blonde smiles. "This is Daisy." "You remember I've told you about Daisy, haven't I?" Daisy stares at the man before her, seeing him properly for the first time. The golden hair, the piercing blue eyes, the tall, powerful frame that bears no resemblance to the skinny boy she once knew. Andy and Oliver. This is Oliver, the boy she fed pancakes to, the teenager who wrote her passionate letters, the young man who broke her heart with his final goodbye, and who's now looking at her like she's merely an amusing diversion. Not the shock he clearly is to her. His Uncle Nicholas, she remembers now, looks like he swallowed something sour, and Maya like a supermodel princess in her designer dress, while Daisy stands there in her simple uniform, still sweaty from rushing, her hair hastily pulled back. "Excuse me," she manages, her voice barely audible. She turns and flees, threading through the crowd with her head down, ignoring Lisa's questioning look as she passes. She doesn't stop until she reaches the locker room, empty now, where she sinks onto a bench and presses her hands to her burning cheeks. Oliver here, now a tall, handsome man in an expensive suit that probably costs more than her monthly rent. And she'd been staring at him, finding him attractive without even recognizing him. He must think she's an idiot and she's behaving like a child, running away instead of doing her job. She buries her face in her hands, trying to steady her breathing. The locker room door cacks open. Daisy doesn't look up, assuming it's Lisa coming to check on her. "Oh, come on, Daisy, you didn't have to run away." Daisy's head snaps up. Oliver stands in the doorway, leaning against the frame with casual elegance, a hint of a smile playing on his lips like Hef finds her reaction entertaining. "This is the women's locker room," she manages. His smile fades instantly. "You're crying," he murmurs, the teasing tone replaced by genuine concern. He crosses the room in 2 long strides and kneels before her, bringing those piercing blue eyes level with hers. "It's not because of me, is it?" he asks, uncertainty softening his voice. Daisy lowers her gaze, unable to articulate the storm of emotions coursing through her. How can she explain that she's crying because the starving boy she once fed has become this magnificent man? Because part of her mourns the connection they once shared, now seemingly replaced by this vast, unbridgeable distance. Oliver reaches out, his thumb gently brushing a tear from her cheek. The simple touch sends a jolt through her system. "I'm sorry, my Daisy," he murmurs. "I didn't mean to upset you. My Daisy." The possessive endearment spoken in that deep voice makes her shiver. Her eyes snap to his and something electric passes between them. "I'm just so happy to see you," she whispers, surprised by the raw honesty in her voice. Oliver smiles. Not the polished, confident smile he wore in the ballroom, but something softer, more genuine. Something that reminds her of the boy who once wrote her heartfelt letters. She hates herself for the way her breath catches. A sharp knock on the door breaks the moment. "Daisy, are you in there?" Lisa calls. "Joy's looking for you." Something about the champagne toast schedule. Daisy jumps to her feet, smoothing her uniform. "I should go." Before she can move past him, Oliver captures her hand in his. His palm is warm, his grip gentle but firm. "Have dinner with me tomorrow night." The request throws her. For one wild moment, she imagines them at a candle-lit table, his eyes on hers across fine china and crystal. "What?" He squeezes her hand, his thumb tracing small circles on her skin. "We should catch up. 15 years is a long time." "What about Maya?" The question slips out before she can stop it. Oliver's brow furrows. "What about her?" "Oh no, I just meant," Daisy falters, feeling foolish. "Maya is my beta, not my mate. In the end, we didn't go through with the mating ceremony." His voice drops lower. "There's a lot you don't know, Daisy. A lot that's happened since my last letter." Heat rushes to her cheeks at the memory. "Say yes," he urges, his eyes never leaving hers. "Yes," she breathes. "Okay." He releases her hand, though his fingers trail along hers for a moment longer than necessary. "I should get back. I have a speech to make." They return to the ballroom separately. Daisy slips back into professional mode, overseeing the waitstaff, ensuring glasses stay filled. Other eyes keep drifting to Oliver as he moves through the crowd, commanding attention without a for. "Stop it," she scolds herself. This is Oliver. He's just a boy. Except the boy is gone, replaced by a man who makes her pulse race with a single glance. A tinkling of glass interrupts her thoughts. The room quiets as Oliver takes position at the center of the ballroom, champagne flute in hand. "Ladies and gentlemen," he begins, his voice carrying effortlessly through the space. "Thank you all for joining us this evening." Oliver extends his hand and a slender woman with auburn hair and aristocratic features steps forward. "My fiancé and I," Oliver announces, his arm sliding around her waist, "are very happy you could make it." The room erupts in applause as Daisy stands frozen, champagne bottle still in hand. Oliver is getting married. Oliver is the groom, and she just agreed to have dinner with him tomorrow night. Chapter 6. On Daisy's last shift at the diner, only 2 customers remain. She wipes down the counter for the 3rd time. Her thoughts are a jumbled mess. She could have been having dinner with Oliver right now. But last night, after learning he was getting married, she'd fled home and found herself rereading all of his letters, blushing at his declarations of love, at him calling her his mate while imagining the man he'd become, whispering these very words. Her shameful thoughts, juxtaposed with the image of him standing beside his beautiful fiancée, had been too much. So instead, she's here working her shift at her father's diner, soon to be someone else's diner. Julia had finalized the sale paperwork this morning. She can't bear to sit across from him, pretending to be just an old friend while her heart tried to reconcile the boy she'd known with the powerful man he'd become. The door chimes behind Daisy's last clients, and she's left alone in the empty diner. Except she isn't. Not exactly, because right outside stands a tall figure on the sidewalk, rain plastering his golden hair to his head, soaking through what appears to be a very expensive suit. Oliver's eyes meet hers through the glass just as they did that first night when he'd been a boy. But this time, there's no weariness in his gaze, only intensity and hurt. One moment Daisy can't move. The next she's crossing the diner, unlocking the door. "You didn't show," Oliver says, rain dripping from his jaw. "He's so beautiful it hurts to look at him." "Come here," she manages. "You're soaked." Water pools at his feet as Heston's there, looking out of place among the worn vinyl booths and chipped vermicatables. "Your booth is still free," she says, gesturing to the corner where he used to sit. It's a weak attempt to humor, but the corner of his mouth quirks upward nonetheless. Daisy brings him coffee without asking, setting it before him in a thick white mug. "Why didn't you come?" Oliver asks. Something came up. She lies, not meeting his eyes. "You're lying," he says, not unkindly. "Your heart rate changes when you lie." Heat creeps up her neck. Of course, he's a wolf. She forgets sometimes what he is. "I'm sorry," she blurts out, more genuinely this time. "But you're getting married." One golden eyebrow rises and Oliver draws. Daisy stares at him, confused for a moment before she realizes her mistake. He just wanted to have dinner with an old friend. And meanwhile, she shame washes over her. She's been making it weird reading too much into his invitation because of her new, very inappropriate attraction to him. Meanwhile, of course, Oliver wouldn't be pursuing her now that he's grown and engaged. "I'm sorry," she says again, meaning it. "Wait here." She retreats to the kitchen, leaning against the cool stainless steel counter for a moment to collect herself. Then she pulls out flour, eggs, buttermilk. When she returns to the dining area, Oliver's eyes widen slightly. "Kitchen mistake," she whispers, sliding the plate of blueberry pancakes in front of him. His answering smile is dazzling. It does all kind of things to Daisy's poor heart, though not nearly as much as the expression of pure bliss that crosses his features after he takes his first bite. Eyes closing briefly. Good. Daisy nearly chokes, throat tight. She should go back to wiping down tables, finish closing up. Instead, she slides into the booth across from him. "I missed you," Oliver admits quietly. After the letter stopped, he pushes the plate slightly toward her, an invitation. The simple act of sharing food with him again after so many years feels strangely intimate. "Tell me about your life, my Daisy." And somehow she does. And as she speaks, the years between them seem to melt away. He listens with the same intensity he always had, asking questions that show he remembers every detail she ever shared in her letters. "And now the diner's being sold," she finishes, gesturing around them. "This is probably one of my last shifts here." Oliver's expression darkens. "Why is your stepmother selling it?" She says it's been losing money for years. Maybe she's right. "But it's the last piece of your parents you have left," Oliver observes, making Daisy sigh. "Yeah, I know. My mother's name is still on the sign. My father's recipes are still in the kitchen." Oliver reaches across the table, his fingers brushing against hers. "I'm sorry, Daisy." Somehow, during their conversation, they've shifted closer and now her knee presses against his underthetible. "You never told me what happened to your parents," she says softly. For a second, Oliver's eyes shine gold. "They were killed," he says calmly, "in front of me." The calm, almost detached way he says this makes Daisy recoil. "Oliver," she murmurs, tear swelling in her eyes. "A rival pack," he explains, his voice steady but distant. "They wanted our territory. I was hiding in a closet. I saw everything." Daisy reaches for his hand without thinking, squeezing it tight. "That's why I couldn't speak when we met." Oliver's jaw tightens. "The words were trapped inside me, but writing to you. It helped," he confesses, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. "Having someone who didn't try to force me to talk, it helped more than you know, Daisy." "You were so thin," she remembers. "So quiet, you were in shock." "I was feral," Oliver corrects. "My wolf took over completely. It didn't trust anyone. Didn't want to be found. But you," his eyes meet hers, soft with memory. "You made me feel safe." The distance between them has somehow disappeared. They're sitting side by side now, their shoulders touching, heads bent close together. "You kept the pendant," Oliver murmurs, his fingers brushing against the silver wolf emblem. Then they brush against the skin of her throat. "And I never take it off," Daisy admits, meeting his gaze chilly. Oliver's gaze drops to her lips, then back to her eyes. A silent question until the question answers itself. The first brush of his lips against hers is achingly gentle, a whisper of contact that nonetheless sends heat coursing through her veins. His hand comes up to cradle her face, thumb stroking along her cheekbone. "Daisy," he breathes against her mouth, and then something breaks between them. His hands tangle in her hair, pulling it free from its bun. Hers grip his shoulders, feeling the strength coiled beneath expensive fabric. Somehow she's in his lap and his kisses grow deeper, more demanding. One large hand slides beneath her uniform shirt, slaying against the small of her back, skin to skin. Heat pools low in her belly, desire making her tremble. Reality crashes back with brutal force. Oliver is engaged, getting married in days. "We can't," she gasps, pulling away. "Oliver, we can't." His eyes are amber now, glowing with barely contained need. For a moment she thinks he might argue, might pull her back to him. Then the gold fades back to blue and he releases her. "I'm sorry," he says, his voice low. "I shouldn't have." "No, Daisy stands straightening her uniform with shaking hands. "It was me too." An awkward silence falls between them, the easy connection of moments ago replaced by tension and regret. Oliver rises, towering over her in the small space. "I should go." Daisy nods, not trusting herself to speak. He moves toward the door, then pauses, looking back at her with an expression she can't quite read. "Goodbye, Daisy." The finality in his tone makes her heart clench. Chapter 7. 3 days since the kiss. 3 days of replaying the moment in her mind, the heat of his mouth, the strength of his arms, and 3 days of silence. Daisy moves through her shift at the hotel on autopilot, smiling professionally at guests, while her thoughts remain firmly anchored in a small diner on a rainy night. Someone clears their throat behind her. Daisy turns from the reservation desk to find none other than Maya standing before her, elegant as ever in a tailored pantsuit, her dark hair swept back in a sleek ponytail. Something in her expression, cool assessment mixed with reluctance, makes Daisy straighten her shoulders defensively. "Hello," she says, aiming for polite. "Is there anything I can help you with?" "Not really, no." Maya extends a thick cream envelope. "But I have something for you from Oliver." Daisy's heart lurches at his name. She takes the envelope with slightly trembling fingers, unable to stop herself from asking. "He didn't want to come see me himself." A flash of irritation crosses Mia's face. "No." The single word stings more than it should. Daisy lets her hand drop, the envelope unopened. Maya sighs, her expression softening marginally. "It's not that he didn't want to. He thought you would prefer the distance." After a moment's hesitation, Daisy opens the envelope. Inside are several documents, legal papers with official stamps and signatures. As she scans the text, her breath catches. She's holding the deed to Mary's diner, and it's in her name. "I don't understand," she whispers, tears welling her eyes. "It's not that complicated," Maya snaps. "He bought it for you." Daisy stares at the document, throat tight. Her parents' diner. The last connection to them, she has now hers again. Deeper in the envelope, she finds an invitation. Beneath it, a handwritten note in Oliver's familiar script. "I'd be honored if you would attend." "I understand if you can't. Will you come?" Maya asks, watching her closely. Daisy swallows audibly. I don't think so," she murmurs. "I don't know. You can't make time for the man who just bought your diner back." Maya's voice sharpens. "You don't understand," Daisy attempts. But Maya won't hear it. "I understand more than you know." Her fingers tighten around her purse strap, knuckles whitening. Her gaze drifts to the pendant still hanging around Daisy's neck, and something like resignation flickers across her face. "He doesn't love her," she mutters. Daisy's brows shoot up. "What?" "Robin, he doesn't love her." Maya's gaze is direct, challenging. "Just thought you should know." Daisy shakes her head. "He doesn't love me either," she protests, overwhelmed. "He just thinks he does because I was there when he needed it." Something dangerous flashes in Maya's eyes, a reminder of what lies beneath her polished exterior. "If after all these years you still think that," she finally says, "then you don't deserve him." Without another word, she turns and walks away, the sharp click of her heels against marble echoing in the sudden silence. Chapter 8. The Gray Pack estate sprawls across acres of pristine woodland, the ceremony site nestled in a clearing surrounded by ancient oaks. White chairs fan out in neat rows, flower-draped archways creating a path to a raised platform where Oliver stands tall and solemn in a black suit that emphasizes the breadth of his shoulders. Daisy slips in at the back, heart hammering against her ribs. She's dressed in a simple blue dress, the pendant Oliver gave her years ago, gleaming at her throat. Her eyes scan the gathered crowd, and immediately she notices something different about them. They sit too still, too alert. Predators addressed. This is a shifter ceremony, and she's an outsider in every sense. Nicholas stands beside Oliver, his expression severe. On the opposite side waits Robin, resplendent in a gown of ivory silk, Her family arrayed behind her like an army preparing for alliance, not celebration. As music swells from hidden speakers, Daisy shrinks into her seat, suddenly questioning her decision to come. What had she expected to walk in and find Oliver waiting with open arms? He's about to be mated, bonded forever to another. The officiant, an elderly woman with silver hair and knowing eyes, steps forward. Her voice carries across the clearing without effort. We gather today to witness the bonding of two ancient bloodlines. One's onion that strengthens not just the gray pack, but all shifter kind. Daisy watches Oliver's face, handsome, stoic, distant. His eyes sweep the crowd once more, searching before settling into a mask of duty. The bond between mates is sacred, the efficient continues. A joining not just of bodies and packs, but of souls. Something in her words makes Daisy sit straighter. She thinks of Oliver's letters, of his description of soul bonds, rare and powerful, like having one soul in two bodies. Robin steps forward to speak her vows, her voice clear and confident. I come to you, Oliver Gray, offering the strength of my bloodline, the loyalty of my pack, the honor of my name. I vow to stand beside you as we lead our united packs into prosperity. Daisy frowns. That's it, these are her vows. Not a word about love. Not a mention of desire or devotion or dreams shared. Nothing about Oliver's sense of humor or his penchant for mystery novels. This is a business transaction dressed in ceremonial language. Oliver steps forward, his expression solemn as stone. I, Oliver Gray, accept your offering and return it with my own. I vow to. Daisy stands abruptly. She hadn't meant to. Her body seems to move of its own accord, propelled by a sudden, overwhelming certainty that this is wrong. The movement catches Oliver's eye mid-sentence. His words falter, then stop entirely as their gazes lock across the clearing. His expression transforms in an instant. The mask of duty cracking to reveal such naked hope, such raw longing that a collective gasp rises from the assembly. Is there a problem? The officiant asks sharply. Daisy hadn't planned to speak, hadn't planned to do anything but witness. But Oliver is still looking at her like she's the answer to a question he's been asking his entire life, and the words tumble out before she can stop them. Don't, she says, her voice carrying in the sudden silence. Don't do it. You don't love her. Murmurs ripple through the crowd, swelling into exclamations of shock and outrage. Nicholas's face darkens with fury. Daisy, Oliver says, her name alone, silencing the crowd. We talked about this before. She knows what he means. Her letters years ago urging him not to commit to Maya without love. And I stand by what I said, Daisy replies, clenching her fist to stop their trembling. You can't commit your soul for duty. It's not right. Oliver's jaw tightens. What else am I supposed to do? His voice holds an edge of bitterness. I can't marry for love, Daisy. She opens her mouth to protest, but he continues. I can't because the woman I love belongs to someone else, and I will never love another. The crowd erupts into chaos at this declaration. Shifters leap to their feet, voices raised in shock and confusion. Nicholas drops his head into his hands, a picture of exasperation. Oh, Daisy whispers, the single syllable lost in the cacophony. Oliver stands rigid on the platform, his eyes never leaving her face despite the pandemonium surrounding them. And if she didn't, Daisy says, the words barely audible even to her own ears. The officiant waves her hands frantically. Please, everyone, calm yourselves. This is a sacred silence. Oliver roars, his voice carrying a note of command that cannot be ignored. The clearing falls instantly unnaturally quiet. Every shifter freezes in place, responding instinctively to the Alpha's order. In the ringing silence, Oliver looks at Daisy expectantly, something vulnerable flickering beneath his commanding presence. She stands frozen, her cheeks burning as every eye turns to her. The officiant clears her throat. Miss, nobody heard you. Speak now or forever be silent. Daisy takes a deep breath. What if she didn't? She repeats louder this time. Belong to another, I mean. Oliver's brow furrows. What? I didn't marry David. The words come out in a rush. I never did. From somewhere in the crowd, someone gasps, then asks, Wait, who's David? Oliver doesn't seem to hear. His expression softens, hope blooming across his features like the first light of dawn. You didn't? Daisy shakes her head. No, I really think you should reconsider. She continues, her voice gaining strength. Marrying for love? I mean, I want that for you, Oliver. She swallows hard, then adds, and preferably with me if you'll have me, because I've come to quite enjoy being your Daisy. And I really would like being yours again. The clearing explodes into chaos once more. Shouting, questions, exclamations of disbelief. Oliver's eyes briefly snap away from Daisy's face, whose stomach drops at the sight. But then she sees him sending his fiancée an apologetic look, which makes the latter roll her eyes. "Go on," she says, loud enough to be heard over the den. "We both know this was never about love." Oliver doesn't need to be told twice. He strides through the crowd, shifters parting before him like water, until he stands before Daisy, his eyes blazing with an intensity that steals her breath. "You really didn't have to buy back the diner for me." She babbles nervously. "That was two." His mouth claims hers, cutting off her words. Thacus is fierce, possessive. 15 years of longing poured into a single searing contact. The officiant, looking somewhat stunned, raises her voice over the celebration. "Well, it seems we're witnessing a different kind of bond today." Daisy hardly hears her. All she knows is Oliver's arms around her, his heartbeat strong against her palm, and the certainty that after 15 years of letters and longing, they've finally found their way back to one another. Thank you for listening to the Alpha's Pen Pal. If you enjoyed listening to this story, please hit the like button, share it with someone who'd love this, and subscribe to Nightbond Narratives and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Tell me in the comments below which part of the world you are watching from. Also tell me which part of the story you like the most. Compilation of a video of an audiobook takes a lot of time and effort, so if you see any ambiguity, please ignore it. I hope you will appreciate my effort.